Welcome to the TLW podcast. I'm Jonathan Pixley here with my partner, Sean Owens. Sean, welcome back, man.
Glad to be back, man. Glad to be back.
Today we'll start our journey for the podcast with different topics that we will discuss. And the last time, which was our first podcast, is basically an introductory podcast as to the history of TLW and introducing you to the partners, Sean Owens and Jace Augustus. Jace, can you say hello from back there?
Hello.
Okay.
Hello.
Jace,
We got here. Let's see.
Jace runs the show from behind the scenes for us, like we talked about last time. Sean, let's get right into it because we do not want. We're not really big on small talk here at TLW.
No wasted time. No wasted.
So, once you tell the crew a little bit about our topic today.
Yeah. So today we're going to talk about success. Success is one of those words that I think we can peel back. We can look at it a whole lot of different ways. I've got my interpretation of it. I know you have your interpretation of it. And really what I want to do is I want to kind of distill that down a bit and look at what I would consider to be some building blocks of success, if that makes sense.
For sure.
At the end of the day, there's probably some individuals that you have surrounded yourself with, you looked up to when you were younger. And I bet you, if anything, you could probably pull some very specific things out from those individuals that you would consider quote unquote successful.
So I'll tell you the first person that
Talk to me, man.
My first hero, okay,
Would love to hear about it.
was Dr. J. Julius Erving.
Okay, come on.
And
what sport did he play again? I'm just playing.
Man, I'm gonna tell you, Philadelphia 76ers,
Yeah.
one of the greatest players of all time. And ironically, I wanted so badly to pattern my game as a basketball player after him. However, I didn't possess any physical attributes that he had. So I quickly realized that's probably going to have to change, which, as we're going to talk about, my view of what success is and, successful people has had to change too over time.
Yeah. I think that's something that when I think about the word and I think about what I envision success to be is I'm blown away. I'm 41 now. I'm just going to put my age out there. I look at it now and completely different. I know. So,
Okay. Yeah, that's freaking messed up.
I know. I'm coming clean with it. But really, I used to look at success as something that was so incredibly tied to my profession. Okay, so I'm like we talked about in the first podcast, I'm a dentist. Specifically, I do a lot of stuff revolving around dental implant surgery and reconstruction of the failing dentition. I forget I'm not on a dental podcast. So when mouths fall apart, I like to put them back together.
Did you say dentition?
I did.
Is that a word?
It's in dentist world it is, but I'm going to go ahead and leave the dental lingo out. But
okay, moving on.
I like to put people back together. And so the way I looked at success as I was coming out of dental school and residency was being the guy that's on the lecture podium internationally. That's what I started my career around. And this led actually to my first round of coaching with you. Is I'd put so much of what I looked at as success into my vocation and my vocation only. And I needed help realizing that success is not just about how you do at work. Success is about the management of all phases and all aspects of life. And really, to take it a step further, I don't feel personally that somebody can be successful if they're leaving one of those phases lagging. Really, to me, an individual who I'm going to look up to, who I'm going to emulate, who I want my children to look up to and emulate, is going to be a man or woman who is doing the absolute best they can to take care of all the buckets, taking care of the buckets with respect to the profession, take care of the family, take care of who they are spiritually, take care of who they are in terms of a physical sense. I think we can talk about that for an hour on end, the importance of exercise of being successful. And so really what I want to communicate to our individuals following is that when we look at success, we need to look past the typical things that people think about. Okay, what car do you drive? What house do you live in? Look past, okay, how are they doing in work? But really, let's go ahead and try and emulate those who are really just checking all the boxes. Would you agree? What you have to say about that?
I agree 100%. In fact, I think, as we get older,
yeah,
I can't believe you threw your age out, man. I'm only
I come clean.
I am officially a decade older than you. But I'm not 51.
No,
So
I think
anyhow,
24. Is that right?
yeah.
Yeah.
So anyhow, I think it's we look at what true success is. Um, you can see people on a movie screen, you
Hmm.
can see people in an athletic arena, you can see, people who have attained fame
Hmm.
in one way or another, and just assume that they are super successful
Yeah.
people. Okay. Um, I do not view that now
Hmm.
as true success after becoming a husband, a father, a business owner as well. But like to me, there's so many other facets to being successful because I know we definitely agree on this. Too many people live this thing that we call life
Yeah.
as if they're going to get to do it over and over again.
Oh,
We
you
get to
bet.
do it once.
Hmm.
This is it. Okay.
Yep.
One time. Um, I know this, and you've heard this about certain people. There are certain people that when they walk in the room, you may not know who they are,
Hmm.
but you look at them and you go, that's somebody.
Yep.
You don't know what's in their bank account. You don't know what kind of car they drive. You don't know any of those things, but you know that's somebody
There's a way they carry themselves.
because they carry
Yep.
themselves. They have a presence about them, not an arrogance, a presence about themselves when they walk in the room. And it's not necessarily that they need to be, of a certain physical stature
Hmm.
or anything. It's simply a presence. Now they can screw that whole thing up within 5 seconds of opening their mouth, right? But to me, success is when you, from a standpoint of the initial stages of it, when you walk into a room, have you at least not lost the respect
Hmm.
of everybody
Absolutely.
by the way that you carry yourself?
Absolutely.
And
Absolutely.
so I think that to me is kind of where the starting point is for it.
Absolutely. Look, I can't agree with that more. As I began this process of pressing in and trying to understand a little bit more about where I was on the journey, where I was on the path. One of the things that I really found a lot of meaning behind was discovering my why. Why I wake up every day, why I live a certain way, why I make the decisions that I make, and uh, one exercise that I encourage the athletes that I coach, the young adults that I mentor within my profession, is to really dial that in. And the way I look at it, my why is not revolve around work only. My why is something that it exists to cover all phases of life. My why is applicable to what I do for a living. My why is applicable to how I raise my children. My why is applicable to how I treat my body with respect to physical exercise. And at the end of the day, we're going to have a hard time understanding where we're going in life. We don't have if we don't set that up. We're not setting ourselves up for success if we don't understand why we're doing what we're doing.
I, I agree with that. Also, would you say um, that our society is too results oriented?
Oh man, that'll preach again and again. Look, and I'm one who's guilty of that. I mean, it's so easy to focus on the end result. And this touches on what you just said a minute ago. At the end of the day, we get one turn doing this. And if our focus is specifically on where we're going, as opposed to the steps that we take along the way, there's so much life to be enjoyed in the journey along the way. And losing sight of the actual opportunity to enjoy the living in a day, talk about a soul crushing way to live.
And I love the the day, right?
Yes,
Like my word for this year is today
I love it.
because
I
I
love
feel
it.
like we get too hung up in what's down the road and planning. We're constantly planning, right?
Hmm.
As opposed to let's get everything we can out of this
Yes.
day because it's going to get us closer to the things that we have quote unquote planned for. I'm going to give you an example of an instance where professionally I experienced what was supposed to be a successful thing in my professional career.
Hmm.
And when it happened, I remember thinking, is this all there is to it?
Mm.
So And again, Jace is one of our partners, right? He's running this show right there. Well, he was in this moment with us. The first time we went and played in the state finals years ago, our team, the team we lost to was better than us. Okay. And I think we ended up losing by 20 something, 25, whatever, but it felt like we lost by 250, right? The next year, the whole year was geared towards we're not going to let that happen again. Okay. And it was all results driven.
Yep.
As opposed to, and you hear Nick Saban talk about, embrace the process, embrace the process. Your other leaders talk about the same thing, almost to the point where you don't want to embrace the process because you're hearing it so much. But it's the whole thing. And here's what I'm getting at. We got to the state finals the next year, and we're playing a team that we knew we were 15 to 20 points better than.
Yeah.
Okay. And when we there was a team that we were looking forward to playing that actually lost to the team that we're playing in the finals, and it was almost a letdown that's who we were going to play in the finals. Well, we get down 16, 18 points in the third quarter of this game, and I'll never forget calling a timeout and looking at our guys going, look, we can make this change, that change, the other, whatever, but just know this. You've worked all year to get to this point. And you're going to let this slip to that group down there. And they were our quote unquote rivals. I mean, we beat them almost every time we played them, but still, okay, crosstown rivals. And sure enough, our guys buckled up and made the comeback, and we had a game-winning shot at the end to win the game. I'll never forget the most important part: the bus ride home.
Talking about the bus ride home.
The bus ride home after you win a state title, after you do something huge, right?
Yep.
Everybody should be dancing, hooting and hollering, having a good time.
Yeah.
There was no noise.
Come on.
No noise. They were exhausted. And they weren't just physically exhausted, they were mentally exhausted. And the reason they were mentally exhausted is because I, as the leader, had spent the entire year focusing on this one moment. This is it. And so we didn't enjoy the steps along the way like we should have. And so when we got to the end, it was like, okay, we did it. Now what?
Yep.
Right?
Yep.
You want to know the worst thing? I did it for another year, just like that. And probably the most talented team I ever coached didn't win it the next year. Because again, so focused on the end as opposed to what are we doing along the way, right?
Yeah.
Which I'll thank my last two groups that I had. Jace was a part of those groups that they basically forced me to get out of that mindset, and we ended up winning it the last 2 years. But just amazing to think about. You accomplished this thing that you've been trying to do. This is success, right? And then you can't even enjoy it. Well, that's no good.
Well, I think it's one of those things it's challenging when individuals have a certain mindset, and really it's a mindset that we can agree it's a great way to look at life, but this ties into why there are so many studies, so many stories about Olympians. They get done with the Olympics, and there's some major emotional issues and depressions that can result when you get past something that your life is built around getting to that. I've had these experiences in my life. As I grew with the practices that I was becoming an owner in the offices, that everything with my life was built around when I get there, I'll be happy. When I get there, I'll be joyful. When I get there, I'll be comfortable. When I get to this specific dollar amount in my bank account, I'll be content. And there's a lot to be said for delayed gratification with respect to certain things. But if you're holding out your ability to enjoy life every single day by not manifesting and being a present in the moment, that was my word for last year. Presence was my word for last year, because what you just described, what you experienced with your team, is exactly what I've experienced in my life. And so by focusing on the specific steps I can take day in and day out, not only am I enjoying the ride a whole lot more, but surprise, the things that I need to happen in life to get to the targets, not goals.
That's
We'll
right.
talk about that.
That's
to
right.
get to the targets that I'm striving for. So much easier to get there by focusing on the even the minutiae of every single day. So,
and very quick, as I take a sip of this, we want to thank Dwayne Johnson, The Rock, for coming up with the
Thank you,
greatest
Rob.
energy drink of all time
Absolutely.
called Zoa.
Without a doubt.
Um,
Objective
fantastic.
data right here on that. What about failure? Can we talk about failure for a second?
Absolutely. Failure, in my opinion,
Talk to me.
okay, it used to be losing,
Mm-hmm.
right? I lost.
Mm-hmm.
Um, I simply didn't accomplish the goal or target that I was aiming
Mm-hmm.
for. And so it's a failure.
Mm-hmm.
Um, and when you're younger, right, it's harder to come back from at times because you're like, wow, I spent all this time and was it worth it and this and that. And I used to think, and I say when you're younger, I think as you get older,
Mm-hmm.
there are certain individuals that it's harder for them to come back from it because it's like, wow, now we're dealing with real life stuff,
Yeah.
right? Providing for your family,
Yeah.
job opportunity, whatever it is. And so I look at it and go, okay, if you don't treat failure not as something separate from success, but as a part of success, even more importantly, as a step towards
Absolutely. Yeah.
success, then you're missing out. Do you agree?
Oh, 100%. The way I see it is if we're not failing, then we're not expanding our boundaries. I think one of the things that I look at that's helped me get to where I am now, not just career wise, but in terms of my emotional health and my comfort with life and enjoying every single day, is knowing that I can try and be a little bit better every single day. And by trying to be a little bit better every single day, I have to expand my horizons. I have to put myself into uncomfortable positions. This is one of those positions right here. I can talk in front of people all day. Getting in front of a camera, that's a whole different thing for
I'll
me.
tell you what was uncomfortable for me, and I'm glad you dealt with it, was that mustache that you had last week. That was uncomfortable. So thank God our viewers
We'll
don't
make
have
sure
to
to
see
get some pictures out to y'all because
that.
that mustache
Oh,
was
gosh. Yeah.
epic. Skeens wishes he could do what I did. But getting getting comfortable expanding your boundaries, getting into positions that are stretching you, if we're all human, and there's no way to do that
Speak
without
for yourself.
okay.
Yeah.
There's no way to do that without experiencing setbacks, without things going as planned. And ultimately, I think about my greatest successes in life, not just career wise, but in terms of breakthrough physically, in terms of breakthrough financially. Those successes have happened because I've learned from the mistakes I've made or from the shortcomings. And the way I look at it is the true successes that I'm experiencing are because, yeah, things didn't work out in the past, but I was humble enough to own that it didn't work out in the past, and I was okay with accepting that I made some incorrect decisions along the way, but I learned from them. I didn't beat myself up over it. I allowed myself 5 minutes, maybe to pout here and there about it, but snap out of it. There's only so many hours in the day that I want to devote
Yep.
to dwelling in that negativity. Pull the life lessons out of it. Use those life lessons as something that you can first off you, use those life lessons as something that you can apply in the future to avoid making those mistakes. And then let's take this a step further. How about mentoring other people?
Yeah.
How about using your experiences? There's purpose behind the pains that we go through, using those experiences to help out other individuals to either not step in what you stepped in, or to take it a step further. If you're going through it, here's what I experienced, here's what I pulled out of it, here's how it made my life better, and here's how I'm able to have a greater impact because of it.
And so a big word for us here at TLW, as you know, and this will be the first time our viewers are hearing this, is the word next,
Mm,
right?
yes.
Because whether or not you've had a success or a quote unquote failure, whatever it is, what's next? And when I say what's next, I don't want to miscommunicate this or have it misconstrued where I'm going back to that coach
Hmm.
that was like, oh, okay, we won it. What's next? No, I'm talking about when dealing with
Hmm.
some adversity, right? Even when accepting success, you want to enjoy it for
Yep.
sure, but you need to use it to move on to whatever is next,
Absolutely.
so that you can continue the building process. Talk to me and to the viewers primarily about the word next in your lifetime. And I'm going to put you on the spot here. As a runner,
Mm.
okay, when you were competing at a high level, what was that word? What would that have meant to you then?
So next is next is strong in my life. A couple ways. So first off, next allows me to not really hold on to any things that may have not gone the way I wanted them to. So, uh, you know, over the course of a racing season, you'll have things that go well, you'll have things that don't go well. One thing in particular, let's talk about workouts, for example. Okay. It's impossible to show up to every single workout feeling refreshed, feeling rejuvenated, feeling like, okay, I'm ready to crush this thing. And I'll show up to workouts and they don't go as I want them to. And if I sit there and continue dwelling on and going through the negative feedback loop of, okay, this isn't going the way I want it to,
Right.
my ability to bounce back out of that and get prepared for the next workout is completely shot. Next, knowing that I got another day ahead of me, I got another workout ahead of me, at least I showed up to this workout. At least I got put some effort out and I did it in the less than ideal circumstances. Next allows me to put that behind me, move forward, and get ready to face the next hurdle, the next obstacle, the next adversary, the next opponent. And what I find is when you can build up enough of those times where you can manifest in the next and know that, okay, I've put these things behind me. Surprisingly, at least in my life, I find that it's not that I don't face those battles as much because I still face them, but they don't affect me as much. I'm able to dwell in a state mentally where I'm I'm not dipping down as much. I'm staying above it more. I'm accepting reality for what it is, but I'm very much a lot more equipped and capable to go into facing the opponent, next race a lot easier.
So, based on all of that, um, when you look at success, and I think this is really important because we talk a lot about, you know, okay, we're talking about the what, which
Mhm.
is understanding success. Okay, the why, which we're going to get a little bit more into, and then the how. I don't think that there is a clear definition for how to be successful because I think a lot of it depends on the industry you're in. I
Right.
think it depends on what phase of life you're in. I think it depends on what aspect of life you're talking about, right? Because being successful as a father is different than being successful as a business owner,
Yeah.
right? Because you're judged by different metrics. Not that they're necessarily metrics for being a father, but you get what I'm saying,
Yep.
right? Um, so, as opposed to us talking about the how of how to be successful, I think the how to view success
Mm.
is something that's really, really important
Yeah.
because when when I was younger, and I know the same thing with you, um, we viewed success differently. When we were in a different mindset, we viewed success differently. Okay. Um, Today, how we view success, I think, is something that our viewers need to hear, especially those young viewers that are out there right now that are still trying to figure this out, right?
Yeah.
Trying to figure out what's my target? What am I aiming for? What's my next?
So I'll give you an example from my life
Yeah.
and how I look at something, a move that I've made has, I would look at it as success. So, you know, like we talked earlier, was in a standpoint of everything in my life revolved around getting somewhere career wise, and that was it. I look at success now for my career in that I am now working with some partners that I love in a part of town that I love with a position that allows me to go coach my kids.
Yeah.
So success is, it's not that, oh, I've hit some specific dollar amount. Success for me is that the most finite resource we have available, time, I'm able to maximize in my life now. And I'm able to be involved in my kids' lives more. I'm able to go back to coaching a school that I love and have a presence there. Success to me is having more control over something which we all want to have more of.
Yes.
Thoughts on that?
I love it. Um, I'll tell you, it's always been intriguing to me to get to know super wealthy people.
Mm,
Okay, not that I search them out, but just when I have the opportunity, I would say the majority of like uber wealthy people that I know, which is not a ton, are not necessarily the happiest individuals that you would ever see. Now, I do not in any way, shape, or form want to send the message that making a lot of money is not a good thing. Okay.
Rude.
Because money does allow you options.
Yep.
There's no question about it. The issue is if you spend all of your time making money or thinking about making money,
Yep.
that's where lack of fulfillment comes in. That's where you are sacrificing relationships. That's
Yep.
where you are the real success that we view now. You're kind of pushing it off to the side. And I will never, ever, ever forget this. And I'm going to use his name. He is the mayor of Baton Rouge right now, Sid Edwards,
Your coach,
who
correct?
was my coach
Yes.
and my mentor. Was my last year coaching at Dunham. We're playing a home game. We're playing against the team he is coaching. Okay. He comes to the gym. I asked him to come in the office because I wanted to tell him. I wanted him to be the first non-family member that knew that I was not going to be coming back the
Yep.
next year. And I will never forget him saying, I just want to make sure that you're not doing this for financial reasons.
Mm-hmm.
And I said, why do you ask that? And he said, because we cannot lay it down. We cannot lay any money amount of money down at the feet of Jesus
Come
when
on.
we pass through those gates. And to me, it was, you know, just so impactful. And I know that. I know that that's the correct answer. I know that I'm not going to be able to take money with me, right? And money is not why I left, but just to hear it,
Yeah.
and just to continue to kind of soak that in. I think so many people look at it and go, "That's my target. I want to be rich so that I can have this and have that and have this." And that stuff's all gone when you're gone.
Yeah.
So to me, I look at a guy like Sid.
Yeah.
I look at other people that have impacted me in my life. I never knew how much money they had in their bank account. I just knew how much impact they had on me.
And you knew that they had a why behind why they woke up every day, and they had a purpose.
Mhm.
And purpose is something that we're going to be diving into a lot coming up in future podcasts. Something that I'm passionate about. I know you're passionate about too. But when individuals wake up with a purpose behind what they do, it changes everything. And it comes back to what you said at the beginning of this episode. When somebody walks in the room and they have that confident calm, that's an individual who knows their why. They have a purpose behind everything they do. And that purpose is beyond something which is just materialistic. The purpose is something which is to benefit mankind in general, to make an impact in the world they live in.
And I think that, again, we go back to the fact that you only get to do this whole life thing one time,
Yep.
right? Um, and I think this is probably a good place to kind of close on this because um, I have, it used to be, okay, when I put my head down on the pillow at night, it was, all right, how many points did I score tonight?
Hmm.
Um, did we win this game tonight? Or when I was coaching, right? Did we beat this good team? Did we win by enough? Did my team play like I wanted them to play, right? Um, as opposed to really, really simple. Who to help today?
Hmm.
Who to help?
Hmm.
Because I'll never forget somebody telling me this. It's not about the size of your funeral, it's about what your funeral feels like.
Mm.
So you can see a super famous person pass away, and there's a funeral with thousands upon thousands of people there. Okay. And maybe half of those people didn't even like the person who passed away,
Hmm.
right? But they're just there because it's kind of a social event. Whereas you might have that that uncle in the family that everybody looked up to because he was super positive and he really helped everybody that he
Hmm.
could all the time. And basically, it was like family and close family friends at the funeral, but you felt it
Yeah.
when you walked in there,
Yeah.
right? That this is a person who is truly going to be missed. And the
Yeah.
reason why they're going to be missed is because of how much they tried to do for other people.
Yeah.
That To us,
That's how I'm going.
TLW,
That's how I'm going, man.
that
No
is
doubt.
success.
So that's like a perfect way to describe success in my book, without a doubt. And really, I think that leads us to something that we're passionate about, something that we've been working on for a while, and I think we're ready to release it to the world.
Let's announce it. Go ahead.
All right, so we have an online course that we have curated, created content for, and we're just stoked for the opportunity to release that. And the core of everything we're talking about today with success is we've given a lot of what's, we've given a lot of whys. The how is something that we could spend a lot more time diving into, and that's what we're going to do with the course. Really, our goal at the end of the day is to help all of our viewers who are interested in subscribing to this course learn that how. Learn how you can incorporate some of the experiences that we've had and we've learned from, learn how you can bring some of these things into your life and truly work on that transition from good to great.
And I think the key here is when we talk about the how. This is not fluff. This is not generalities. Like when
Mm,
we get into this online course, we're going to get into specifics,
yep.
and our specifics may not always be the only answer, obviously, right? But I think uh, we have we're not going to direct you somewhere
Mhm.
that we have not experienced success with by doing these things. And
Absolutely.
so I think getting down to the nitty gritty and the specifics of, okay, look, part of being a successful person is is your nutrition right? Are you getting enough sleep? Are
Hmm.
you getting enough exercise? What's your evening routine like?
Big time.
Because when you're able to control both sides of the day, then that's only going to help the productivity out in the middle of the day, right?
Absolutely.
So things like that, and we're not going to limit it to just those things, obviously, but I think that's why we're so excited is because
Yeah.
there really is no ceiling to that. There's no stopping point, right? We can get into so many different things from a how standpoint, and the online course, like which we will get into, I guess, more and more in a couple of the future episodes that we're going to release. But be looking for it because it's going to be something exciting, and we're really really pumped about
I
it.
think the word that comes to mind for me right now is optimization. And our goal at TLW is to help you optimize whatever facet of life you're looking for, whether it's nutrition. We have a certified nutritionist. What's the title?
Well, I do have a certification in nutrition.
Yep. So we got that.
So
We if optimization means learning how to budget your time more wisely so that you can be more productive, we've got that we're looking to help you with. Basically, our goal is to partner with you and just really help you live the best life that you can live.
that's it. And on that note, that we will close this episode of the TLW podcast. We thank you for joining us as always, and like we say every time, there's only one way to do it. Go get it.